This sort of thing does not happen to me. What was different about Spain? Was it the food itself, the people, the atmosphere? What could possibly be making me feel this way? I did the math, and in less than a year, I have already featured almost 150 restaurants, cafes, and food stalls on this channel. But something was different about Spain. I spent an entire month there, primarily living right in the heart of Barcelona, but also with a little time over in Madrid. And I felt so intimidated. For the first time in my life, I was experiencing restaurant anxiety, if that's even a real thing. There are two really heavy hitters when it comes to Spanish cuisine, tapas and paella. Now, I had a bit of an easier time with the paella, and I'll explain why I think that is in just a little bit, but I did manage to hit a couple home runs here. The first was from a restaurant named ELCHE. Now, my first theory about why Spanish food, especially in Barcelona, was intimidating to me is because so much of it heavily features seafood. Broadly speaking, I don't like seafood. I did do a lobster roll video once a while back. It was, a struggle. Paella does oftentimes feature seafood, but I ordered mine with chicken and spicy sausage with egg on the top. You can put whatever you want in your paella. I learned really quickly that the only thing that really matters is how good is the rice. And wowza, at ELCHE, the rice is fantastic. It is so flavorful and covered in oil and just has so much texture. Another place that doesn't pull any punches when it comes to how good their rice is La Roseria XàTIVA. XàTIVA is a town near Valencia, and supposedly Valencia has the best paella in all of Spain. Also, can I say, I laughed for a while here because I ordered the tomato bread in both of these places. Here's what it looked like at ELCHE. This is pretty standard. And here's what I got at La Roseria XàTIVA. It's literally just the ingredients. Is this normal? Can someone from Spain explain this to me down in the comments? I couldn't find anything online about it, but the server literally just handed me a whole tomato, some bread, some olive oil, and a clove of garlic. Anyway, the paella was actually prepared, and again, the rice was especially delicious. The service is a little icy here, which feels normal to me in places like Paris and Rome, but is a little unusual for Barcelona. And the chicken itself was pretty bland, but that rice though, and that tomato bread? You tell me which is more frightening. Getting tossed around a 15-meter deep mud pit with a bunch of strangers half naked in an active volcano in Colombia, or Spanish tapas. It's the tapas. To be honest though, I struggled mightily with tapas. Tapas are the thing in Spain. Tapas bars are everywhere, and I was all ready to make this a video about the best tapas in the city, but I struggled with this. Multiple times I set out to try a new tapas place, but ended up flaking out or changing my mind and eating something else. The few times that I didn't, though, I was truly rewarded. QUIMET in the Poble Sec neighborhood is a spot that I briefly mentioned in another video about Barcelona, but it deserves an entire moment here. This was one of the best overall experiences that I have ever had from a culinary perspective. It's this tiny little space. I had to wait at the door to get in, but I was eventually greeted by QUIMET Jr. himself, one half of the father-son ownership team. QUIMET held my hand every step of the way. He was my guiding light in the dark tunnel of the scary world of tapas. He's important, and we should put some respect on his name.
We love QUIMET!
He curated this entire meal for me. It included loquat with anchovies, yes, seafood, I know, artichoke with cheese and caviar, pate, mushroom and onion, smoked oyster, and red pepper. It was all so incredibly good, and you know what the craziest part is? Nearly every single one of those has seafood incorporated in some aspect. And it was super bold of QUIMET to curate these tapas for me because I specifically requested no seafood, and he basically said,
we love QUIMET!
But you know, that's what this channel is all about. And you would think that such a perfect tapas experience would cure my fear, right? Wrong. It somehow actually made it worse. I found my way to the famous Gothic quarter where I eventually worked up the nerve to visit TAVERNA, BASCA IRATI. And the style here could not be any more different from what I had at QUIMET. Literally, there are just a whole bunch of plates sitting on the counters filled with tapas, and you take whatever you want, and they just add up your total at the end. I had some with salmon and tuna, two fish that I actually like, along with a few that very heavily featured cheese. All of these were pretty good, and I would probably recommend it, but it's also true that none of these were anywhere near as good as QUIMET. But then again, nothing is. So why do I mention it? Well, because I think that visiting TAVERNA BASCA IRATI unlocked this fear for me. I took a walk over to the Barcelona Aquarium in Port Vell. They have some beautiful koi, but the real reason you visit is for this expansive shark area. It felt like the perfect setting to think this over. There were fish. I had just been eating fish. There were sharks. You know, sharks are scary. Fear and all that. Symbolism, right? Of course, I don't actually fear tapas, right? Tapas is just a little smear of food on a cracker. I do struggle, though, with decision making. Part of what made QUIMET such an incredible experience for me was that I had it all curated. The server took my preferences into account, sort of, and I didn't have to choose anything. It's especially apparent with tapas because all tapas actually are tiny little starter meals. But they can be anything. It wasn't enough for me to just research which restaurants to visit, but I also felt like I needed to research exactly which specific tapas I needed to order at every specific place. And I think that's what made it all feel so overwhelming. There was some good that came from it all. In my effort to avoid visiting tapas joints, I stumbled on some other amazing non-Spanish restaurants. For example, I had some of the best Indian food of my life at a place called Tandoori Nights. It was so flavorful and sweet and savory, and it has just set the bar for me so high. Super authentic. I had some incredible Napoleon-style pizza at Pumarola. Their quattro formaggi dipped in spicy oil with an Aperol spritz took me right back to Italy. I went 3 times. I had some empanadas to die for, some Mexican food that brought me back to life, and so many others that were never on my original list. I'm not proud of the anxiety that I felt in Spain. I never felt that way before or since, and to be honest, I'm still trying to come to terms with it, but now I have a new goal. I want to go back to Spain and curate a whole tapas experience for you, just like the one that QUIMET curated for me.
We love QUIMET!
I'll show you where to eat and what to get so that you don't struggle with decision fatigue like I did. I don't like feeling anxiety or fear, and I'm ready to tackle it head on during my next visit. You and me are in this together, and it's not always going to be perfect, but one thing about us is we are always going to be learning and growing and improving. Do you relate? Let me know down in the comments. And if you found this video entertaining or useful, would you consider watching one more? YouTube has one all queued up for you. Click here to watch it now.